Howdy, hope you're well. Sorry for the late upload. I've been having trouble collecting comparison audio. I've actually backed right away from this subject and I'm enjoying my photography again, but I put so much work into those charts that I'd like to complete them so in the future if I need them, I have them. So the whole purpose of this video and probably the next video is to collect jumping wallabies and kangaroos on the trail cameras, then locate the corresponding audio files so we can measure them and add them to the new chart as a known comparison. But catching them on video and audio hasn't been very successful. Inevitably, we also picked up unknown vocalizations and footsteps. If you've watched video number 50, you'll know that we can determine a direction and a rough distance the footsteps and vocalizations are coming from, which gives us an insight into behavior and sometimes adds weight to the hypothesis that these footsteps and vocalizations are not from any ordinary Australian animals.
Morning, we're out in the forest again. These are the new audio recorders. If you look up there, you can see itty bitty white tags, and they are going to help me a lot. And then we've got some up that way too, and there's also some down that way which you can't see very well, and there's some down that way which you can't see very well as well. Anyway, these are the new audio recorders. We're going to try and get some wallabies and kangaroos. Hopefully no one nicks it.
We did collect one wallaby at a distance of 5 meters, and just a reminder, every piece of audio you've ever heard from me has had some form of enhancement, mostly volume, noise reduction and EQ adjustments. On Tuesday morning of the 27th of November 2018, something is forcefully removed and thrown, presumably towards the gear. Seven minutes later, the talking clock activated and triggered another response. A branch gets broken off, 2 steps are taken, and the branch is thrown.
It is 1 o'clock a.m.
I did go back to test my hypothesis that it is possible to find evidence based on audio recordings. I did find a Y-shaped stick that was snapped off on all 3 ends but couldn't find where it was taken from. On the Thursday at 9:48 a.m. we collected some footsteps. The red dot is the electronics and the green dot is the subject. Comes within 30 meters once, and the impact chart shows that it has a similar impact to myself. I'm 5'8" and 73 kilos. If that's them, then the step length chart shows that it should be around 5.8 feet tall. 1 hour and 20 minutes later, something comes in from the southeast and moves to the northwest. It doesn't come within 40 meters of the gear, but has a heavier impact than myself. If that's them, then the step length chart says the subject should be around 6.1 feet tall. Remember that mouth clicking I used to go on about? I found out what it is. Thanks to the clarity of these new audio recorders, I was able to hear what it was. It's a possum gliding from one tree to another. The clicking sound is the noise it makes when it hits the tree and grabs on with its claws. You can actually hear the whooshing sound as it passes near the audio recorders. This is a trail camera video of the next area I went into. These areas are much closer to civilization. I was positive I took a quick video of this setup, but can't find it anywhere. Because I was worried my stuff was going to get stolen, I only put one trail camera on the rig, which was facing up this path. I was hoping to catch a wallaby or kangaroo hopping up the path, but didn't catch anything hopping, just this wallaby who wasn't hopping at all. On the first night at 8:02 p.m, on the 30th of December 2018, we collected footsteps, but this is the first time I've collected what I describe as stamping. . last night of 2018, we had most of the activity between two subjects, which went on for over an hour. I've mapped it out by calculating direction and distance for a lot of the individual sets of footsteps, but some of the footsteps weren't able to be measured because of the overlapping bird noises. This makes the dots on the screen appear to jump at times, but the following animation is basically what happens. The arrow you see in the animation is the direction of the only trail camera. The first interesting piece of audio was 8:02 PM, again like the previous night with the same stamping, but not as vigorous. The second interesting piece was at 8:19, where the subject runs off and grunts at the same time. The third piece is the most interesting piece. 8 months ago when I first reviewed it, I thought it was coming from two separate subjects, but upon reviewing it again, I can't tell. The green subject runs once near the audio recorder but never runs again within 40 metres. This is the new chart, and although it's not complete, there's enough information there to get a good idea of unknown footstep impacts, and I'll add new measurements to it as we go. Our subject has the blue columns and its impacts are much heavier than mine, but has a shorter step length, probably because it's jogging. The orange subject comes within 36 metres once and has varied impacts. The step length is an exact match for me jogging. Now, I'm not saying the subjects are going for an afternoon jog. I'm saying that running is too fast and walking is too slow for whatever reason. On the first day of this year at 4:18 PM, we collected something moving very quickly within metres of the gear. On the second day of the first month this year, we collected nickering and stomping. This is important because I've only ever collected nickering by itself without any distinct footsteps or any other activity until now. On the third day at 10:12 PM, we collected timid, intelligent tones. The vocalizations at the end are quivering and sound frightened. This is why I never went back there. On the fourth day at 12:13 AM, we collected some very heavy footsteps. Whatever it is much heavier than me. For those of you who don't understand the charts, these orange columns are measurements of my footsteps from 2 metres away from the audio recorder up to 40 metres away from the audio recorder. The height of the chart is controlled by our measurements of subjects in hertz. So what I'm actually measuring is the distance between the bottom of the footstep and zero. In a wallaby's footsteps, there is a very large gap between the bottom impact of the footstep and zero. In my footsteps, the gap is much smaller. And in our unknown footsteps, the gap can be very small, meaning that it's a very heavy impact. This varies over distance, and this is why we now have a volume measurement to place the unknown footsteps at a calculated distance. One last thing from this area, now that we're collecting some nice clear audio, I thought I'd share something odd, a recording of lightning. Just after the lightning, there's this really strange sound. I have heard it before, but not like this. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear this type of stuff. We're going to wrap it up here because there's another part coming soon. Thanks for watching.